Hello, 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 and welcome. This is Beverly Fells Jones, the Silver Fox of Consciousness, coming to you today with another wonderful episode. On this show, I talk about how to expand your world of thought, explore the world of positive thinking, Bible based law of attraction, and consciousness from many points of view. You know that I truly, honestly, and most of the time effortlessly share with you information that will enlighten and empower you in your life. I am here to encourage you to, even though sometimes it is absolutely difficult or hard, but I want you to think in the positive. And I want to show you that doing that, miracles can happen. I truly believe that you have been given the power of the word and thought to create the life that you desire. You know, I've been doing this stuff for a while now, and it just, no, I don't want to say ceases to amaze me because I get amazed at times and then I go, yeah, that's about right. We live our lives most of the time unconsciously. We just go about our day and try to decide what we're going to do, or we go to work, or over a period of time, we may discover, that the last few days we've been feeling either super happy or super sad. I had a friend recently text me and said, for some reason today, I feel depressed. Well, first of all, that friend recognized that they were feeling depressed, but they also said, I don't know why. And earlier this year, during all the lockdown stuff, I found that I had several days of just feeling down. Um, I want to find the right word, and the word had been hopeless. I was feeling hopeless. And I realized, well, yeah, you've been stuck in the house for days. You're normally out and about visiting with friends, having lunch, going to networking events, sharing information, doing speaking engagements, whatever it is. But I wasn't doing that. I was locked in the house with my daughter. No. I mean, thankfully, I had my daughter in the house with me because we could check in with each other. And part of that was this whole thing about a narrative going through my mind. I had already turned off the news, most of the news. I was looking for hope somewhere. I was looking for people who would talk about the fact that if you improved your immune system, you would be able to survive this virus among millions of other viruses. And as they talked about the comorbidities, it was all about those people who had not taken care of their body, who had, through no fault of their own most of the time, followed the directions and of whomever. I refuse to say who I think, but they followed the direction and they kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker, or they didn't follow directions and kept getting sicker and sicker and saying, I'm gonna live my life the way I want to, instead of going and taking control of their bodies. You see, I'm one of those people who didn't listen to that person who told me I was pre-diabetic on my way to being a diabetic and that I needed to take medication. But God didn't create our bodies for medication. Our bodies were created to take in food, and certain foods make us healthy. Artificial foods seem to make us sick. And that's a whole nother episode to talk about those things. But what I want to get to is the fact that I realized that I was depressed. My friend realized they were depressed. And so we both did something about it. And for me, it was going for walks, getting my body moving and getting out in the sunlight. And by doing that, 30 minutes a day, my depression lifted because I wasn't giving my body what it needed. But had I continued in that thought process, oh, I'm depressed and that everything is depressing and I'm just, what is there to be happy about? And I would have found all the depressing news out there. I would have found all the things of reasons why I shouldn't be hopeful. I would have found all those things that would play into the narrative of being depressed. But instead, I said, no, there's no reason for me to be this way. And so I found the other side of finding ways of being healthy and going out and being in the sun and then getting on the phone or and having conversations with my friends or arranging to do a Zoom call with a friend or a what's the thing, Facebook Messenger call, and so I could see them. I wasn't in their presence, which I also missed, but I had a different scenario. One scenario would take me down into depression deep, 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 which a lot of people have gone to. Suicides are up. Domestic violence is up. That's one way. But the other side is finding reasons to be happy. As one woman said during this whole thing, all she kept finding was comedy shows on TV, comedy ideas or things to make her laugh. I was watching love stories, and the watching the what I want to call it, the Christmas, shows where the woman doesn't have a mate and then they run into each other. The regular formula for the Lifetime movies. You know what I'm talking about. So what does all of this, talking about going down two paths, have to do with today's story? What does that have to do with this? Well, the story is going to tell us about how somebody was going down, in fact, Donna Lipman was going down the path of the negative until she realized what she was doing. Now, Donna Lipman is a master certified presentation skills trainer. She works with individuals and groups in the corporate, education, and nonprofit sectors who are ready to step into the spotlight as a powerful speaker. Her mission is to create a safe space in which you can boldly step into the full self-expression of yourself. In the show notes is a link to her website and her email address. So Donna's program or her story is called Home Sweet Home. And, you've heard the phrase many times, and I'm going to paraphrase it. Ask and it is given, seek and you shall find, and knock and the door will be open to you. Well, what I've been speaking about is really showing you in many ways that what you think and believe in the world, you will manifest. So I'm going to share with you Donna's story of disappointment, hard times, unhappiness, until she awakened to the reality of her thoughts, and that they were creating her life. So let me get started with Home Sweet Home by Donna Lipman. I was 45 before owning my first home. My husband and I had purchased it in an area of the country I would never have considered visiting, much less living in. My English-born husband, Terry, and I had met through the late singer-songwriter John Denver, and happily we moved to Aspen, Colorado. We were in love, and Terry provided me the opportunity to live my dream, where the mountains created a stunning backdrop to our small apartment in the middle of town. I didn't care that the apartment was cramped and tiny. We had many friends from all walks of life, enjoying deep conversations and outdoor activities. Depending on the time of year, we hiked or skied. It was the first time in my life since I was 14 that I didn't have a regular job or two. I felt happy and in love with life and my husband. 3 years into our marriage, hard times fell upon us financially. It wasn't something we hadn't anticipated. Although we were happy in Aspen, it was an expensive place to live, and we couldn't see a way of supporting this lifestyle for much longer, as neither of us was working. A friend of ours, money guru Robert Kiyosaki, observed we had money going out the door, but nothing coming in. The reality was shocking and moved us into action. Somehow, we found ourselves in a conservative small town an hour outside of Austin, Texas in 1994. That I was not a happy camper to be living in this comparatively desolate place is probably an understatement. We bought an affordable, sprawling, yet humdrum ranch home on a lake. Let me stop here. As you hear the way she's talking about this, she was disappointed that they had to leave Aspen, where they were living a lifestyle that was taking more money out of their pocket than bringing in. They had some really great friends. They enjoyed the activities, and I have no problem with that, hiking and skiing and doing all that. But you can hear in her words the disappointment. Conservative small town an hour outside of Austin. That's negative in her mind. Comparatively desolate place. They bought an affordable, sprawling, to me sprawling means large, yet humdrum. Okay. The house is on a lake, right? Now I'm emphasizing this part of the story for you so you can understand where her mindset was. Now, for many of you who listen to this are going, sprawling ranch home on a lake? Come on now. How many, okay, you don't see the mountains, but you see the lake. And let me tell you, lakes here in Texas, there's some awesome views and beautiful homes off of lakes. All right. And this is 1994. Now, in 1991, my ex and I bought a 3,500 square foot house in Texas for less than $130,000. Compared to what that house would have cost in Pittsburgh, which would have been way over $200,000. She's talking 1994, and she wasn't even in a metropolitan area because she was an hour outside of Austin. So I'm thinking that house was less than $100,000 during that time. Okay, y'all with me here? You seeing where I'm going? All right. Now continues. Let's continue with the story because I want you to feel her energy and feel how she was thinking and feel this negativity in her. It was pretty enough, but isolated. Right now during COVID, I think we'd all want the isolation, right? Anyway, come on. After having been there for a short time, I realized I was probably the youngest person for about 15 miles around. I knew no one in the area, and those whom I did know lived in Austin 50 miles away. To make matters worse, she's still negative, right? I loved being outside, but in Texas it was too hot. Now, this is in the summertime, it's too hot. Right now, I'm in the house because it is hot. And she was in an area that the humidity wasn't too bad. She wasn't in Houston. Okay, let me continue reading. Okay. I grieved the loss of my beautiful mountain lifestyle and fell into a dark place. Well, yeah, the way she described it, she was definitely in a dark place. So let me keep going. After 6 months of isolation, I decided to spend more time in Austin, where I met a successful businessman in the real estate industry. I started hanging around him to gain a better understanding of the business. Eventually, I ended up working for him, running his entire operation. While I learned a lot about the business of owning real estate, I often panicked about my decision-making abilities. Sometimes I fell flat on my face, but was determined to keep moving forward. Now, for me, her saying this was showing me that her attitude, her thought process was getting better and better. She questioned her decision making abilities, but she kept going because she was determined to keep moving forward. So, this is what she did. I began purchasing and managing my personal investment properties and eventually experiencing some success. However, I was still feeling quite unhappy having to live in this remote area, driving back and forth to Austin. At the time, the speed limit was only 55 miles per hour, so the commute was arduous. Yeah, I understand that commute. I've driven going south in Texas, going south on that highway and going through Austin and well, Waco and then Austin and then San Antonio. Traffic can be horrible. Continuing. In the process of being honest with myself, here it goes. Now listen, here's the lesson in this. All right, got your ears perked up? Because I don't want you to miss it. In the process of being honest with myself, it dawned on me one day that I had been collecting evidence that I was right and Terry was wrong. Notice she was collecting evidence. Our friends in Aspen were shocked that we left and couldn't believe my husband would do this to me. It added fuel to my fire and I grew angry. It was taking a toll on my health as I was eating poorly to comfort myself. Then I thought of the adage, would you rather be right or happy? So would you rather be right or happy? Would you like to be happy? And would you like to find the reasons and ways to be happy in your life? Let's take a listen to Donna and see what she did. I decided a change in attitude was needed and began my research. How was I going to do this? My situation seemed impossible. It felt like I was in prison. Yeah, we could tell that by the way she was telling the story initially, right? Still, I knew deep inside I had become a victim of my circumstances. It was not a pretty picture, and I didn't like who I had become. I was treating my sweet husband poorly, blaming him for this nightmare in which I had found myself. I started reading books about how to create a better reality. Drawn to Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, I realized it was time for me to take responsibility for my life. The most important lesson I garnered from this book was nobody is going to save me. It was a revelation and a daily reminder that propelled me into a more positive future. And I'm going to stop here because she talked about Think and Grow Rich, and I do a master class on the book Think and Grow Rich. There's a link below, tiny URL / Think Rich 2019. That's what it is. And you can find my next class coming up. It takes you to Eventbrite, and you can see where my next class is coming up. That will help you discover what she discovered in Napoleon Hill's book, that you can propel yourself into a more positive future. So let's go on in her story after my nice little commercial there. But what was the future I envisioned? With the clear understanding that we would not be moving back to Aspen, finding a home in Austin became a priority. I visualized a respite, a sacred space, and a gathering place for our friends and family. I wanted to be close to downtown, but I didn't want it to be too urban. I cut pictures out of magazines and pasted them on a vision board. Yeah, I love that idea. Do you have a vision board? Have you created a vision board? Well, look that up, because creating that vision board helps you to become focused on what you desire. She goes on. I created a timeline as to when I wanted this to happen. Classic Napoleon Hill. He tells you to make a date of when you wanted this to come about. I was consistently grateful for the love I had in my life, as well as the home we were about to find. I knew it was coming our way. I could feel it and trusted that the house was waiting for us to find it. I love that. Right? Once you make a decision, once you visualize and set in motion that manifestation, and you do like she did, a vision board. When I was looking for my truck, it wasn't on my vision board, but it was embedded in my head and in my subconscious of what kind of vehicle I wanted. And she has a date of when she wanted this to happen. So you could keep saying, I want this, and it's sometime out in the future, but the future never comes. It's always in the future. You need a time frame, whether you say a year, 18 months, 5 years, 10 years, whatever you set. That's when you want it to show up. So let me continue. Keep interrupting the story. One day, we were driving to a friend's home to visit, and we were early. Well, I said that. We're early. I asked Terry to drive around the neighborhood, as we had never been or seen this part of town before. I saw a man putting a for sale sign in the yard of a beautiful home. We stopped, walked up to the front door, and said, I love this. Oh boy, I really love this. We'll take it. Terry was a bit shocked, but he understood it immediately. You know what? This is just awesome. Well, this is how it works. I mean, she just decided, let's take a drive. The guy was putting a for sale sign out. Come on. I've had those kinds of things, not a for sale sign kind of thing, but I've had these kinds of things happen to me. And it can happen to you. And some of you listening has had that happen to you. And I'd like you to make comments below about how it's happened to you. Whether it's large like a house or small like lunch with a friend. Look for that. She said, I have been in this home for 25 years and have loved every party, every dinner, every concert, and every bit of love that has blessed us here. Though Terry has passed, and I'm sorry to hear that, I have remained in our home. It was difficult at first, but fortunately, I found another love, my darling Tom, and we now share it with a blended family and dear friends. It is still my respite and my sacred place for which I am wholly grateful every day. The welcome mat is always there. So in her story, she's telling you, and she showed you in the very beginning the dark place she was in, and she continued to be in that dark place, and she continued to feed that darkness. And then, just like a light was shined on her situation, she realized that she was feeding it and finding the reasons to be upset and angry and not like things. And when she finally realized that, she changed. And when she changed, things changed. And when she changed, she found my book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. If you like this story and want to know more, just subscribe to this program. And I say it that way because it's on Spreaker and iTunes, and I also do a version on YouTube. So if you like this, please subscribe. Put comments below on YouTube. Give it a thumbs up. Hit the notification bell wherever you are so that you can hear more stories that will help you realize that you can manifest the life you want. If you want some more information or you would like to get some help in doing that, take my masterclass on Think and Grow Rich, or contact me and let me know that you would like to have a conversation. Again, this is Beverly Fells Jones, the Silver Fox of Consciousness. As you have believed, let it be done to you, and it is so. Thank you for listening today. Please share the link to this show with your friends and family so that they can learn how to be the best that they can be. Visit my website at commandingyourlife.com and follow me on Facebook. Have any suggestions for the show? Just contact me by emailing Beverly at commandingyourlife.com. Be sure to join me on the next episode. As you have believed, let it be done to you, and it is so.